When you're an amateur, there's only one way to go, and that's up or down. It could get worse. In either case, it's fine. It won't be perfect, and that's okay. I'm going to choose 3 criteria based on the pictures that I've just done. In this way, I'll have background with some of the skills and content knowledge that I use to make those pictures. So I'll be building upon the foundation. I'll select one criterion to work on over the next 1 to 3 pictures, 1 to 3 attempts, and that will give me some a chance for focused practice. So pictures really shouldn't be dull, they should be enjoyable. It should be satisfying to make, it should be satisfying to receive as a gift. It should move from despair to faith. It should move from tragedy to comedy. It should move from my problem to your problem. My primary interest is in relationships. Interested in boundaries. That's a theme for my artwork. I'm interested in art therapy and using images to investigate how I feel and about the events of my life. So the primary source of engagement is complicated, but ultimately the primary source of engagement is learning to love my fate. Not everything is my fault. The pictures in the museums represent power dynamics that in many cases I did not create, but they are my responsibility, especially the internal dialogue that I have with those, with that pictorial system, that value system, and so not everything is my fault, but it is my responsibility, especially the way that I talk to myself. The things that are my responsibility are on my side of the street. They're in my backyard. They're within my gate. They're in my house. So the gate is an appropriate example of boundaries. And the boundaries help me to manage my emotions internally, and they help me to manage my relationships. I've made a lot of mistakes. I have lost friends, mainly through selfishness and stupidity. So the images in my pictures, they point to the dichotomy of control. I have no control over that past. I have no control over my future. Both those things are fine. They're outside of the gate. I have no control over other people who are in my life, and that's fine. They are outside of my gate. But I do have control over my virtue. I can voluntarily try to act according to truth, beauty, and fairness. And I can love my fate. And that is enjoyable. So watercolor is a suitable medium for architecture in direct sunlight. Architectural detail in primary colors contrasts with the background washes, which are in tertiary colors. So, watercolorists like John Singer Sargent use this system of contrast to paint architecture. The big look ascribed to Sargent refers to the dramatism that he achieved by leaving generous amounts of white space. So by leaving all this white paper, it shows that he's composing his picture with light. That's the big look. So these contrasts render architecture nicely. I want to discuss what makes a picture legible, meaning what makes the image look like something to the viewer. If making a picture look like something is an achievement, and I need achievement in my life, then the subtext of legibility is my need for personal achievement. That's one of our work's therapeutic values. To put legibility into practice, I want my picture to speak my truth. And because I'm an amateur, I want to expect and accept that I may be wrong. You're holding it upside down. But actually that reads, that's more legible. All right, legibility Legible artwork expresses my need for achievement, which is wrapped up in my need for power. Art is readable because it functions on an axis of power, us versus them. It taps into that value system. We are the kind of people who appreciate architecture and gates and boundaries, unlike those jerks. Since art may be about superiority, and we would like to assume we are the superior to others, then great art suggests that we are better than them. Legibility expresses my need for achievement and my need for power. If I hang this on my wall, the picture is especially aspirational. So legibility operates on two levels, comprehension and signification. On the first level, the picture should make sense to the viewer. It's about their understanding. On the second level, the picture should have a value. It's about the viewer being impressed. The power of interpretation lies in the viewer's hands. The issue of making amateur art and staring at stuff for too long is the gaze. The gaze is not just a visual act, it carries a moral quality and valence. Most art, especially the pictures housed in museums, is viewed through a white male gaze. And this gaze, which is already imbued with power, can make art appear sexist and colonial. A picturesque picture, which is easy to read and understand, often depicts white men owning land and having stuff. In the case of naked women, there's an aspect of separating women from their value. The subtext of the gaze is power, and it is power that demands our critical understanding and interrogation. This intellectual challenge is essential for a deeper comprehension of art and its social implications. Even amateur art speaks this pictorial language of achievement and power. I doubt that there is a shortcut, a safe way of talking to myself. I feel that this is an internalized value system. And so instead, there's a process of questioning my thinking and my values, and that process takes time. So even amateur art can replicate this system of power and achievement. In other words, picturesque pictures may seem so good, but really they are so dull.